and the time is 9:33. Leo, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Freitas?
Here.
Commissioner Kalekini is excused. Commissioner Kalepa is excused. Commissioner Kaniakua?
Aye.
Commissioner Lasua is excused. Commissioner Marfil is excused. Commissioner Namuo?
Here.
joining us by Zoom. Commissioner Nevis? Chair Watson?
Here.
We have 5 members present. We have a quorum.
Okay, good. Okay, what we got here? We'll start with public testimony and move right into the J agenda until 10:45, when we will switch to items C5 and C6. And then following the conclusion of C6, we'll return to the J agenda until its conclusion. Oh, okay, good. Okay, item J1, Henry Hook Jr., application concern.
If we can go at Boho, we have a flight to catch.
Okay, Bo, why don't we start with you, since you have a flight to catch? If you're ready to go. J7. Oh, we have. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman
Jason.
and members of the commission. Thank you for the opportunity addressing you this morning. I'm here on behalf of Laiapua Community Development Corporation. We are a 501c3 beneficiary-owned nonprofit corporation serving the villages of Laiapua and our surrounding beneficiaries. This is a general update. I provided you copies. I apologize that for the. Oh, okay. I apologize at the outset that I didn't present this testimony sooner. But again, this is just an update of LCDC's activities. First, one of the items on the agenda today was a request for a boat vehicle storage facility on DHHL property on Honokaha Harbor. LCDC is requesting this facility be built because quite a few of our homesteaders have boats and they're violating the DCCRs, but they're parking it in their homes. And our DCCRs, as mentioned in Section 5, subsection M, prohibit the parking of boats on our property. Now, years ago, we were going to do a boat parking right there in the community. It became unfeasible. Too many boats, not enough space. The department owns 200 acres at a harbor at Honokaha. And I provided you a copy of the area. The first page is the area of the 200 acres. The second page is a sort of the Gentry boat parking facility that now operates there, and they're at full capacity. So even if we wanted to go park our boat over there, first of all, it's expensive, and second of all, it's full. Your third page shows a general area where I had plotted out. On your third page, I had plotted out about 9 acres for this facility. And it's a good location that allows our beneficiaries to access the facility and to access the harbor. Your fourth page is also another rendition of the facility at Honokaha. The last couple pages are just data from the existing facilities. So we make this recommendation to the department Um, we will also include this in and I've already submitted my comments to the general plan that is being revised by the department for our beneficiaries. In essence, our lavaya, I'm a fisherman too. I used to commercial fish in Hilo for 7 years. I know what fishing's about. I'm a boat operator. Yeah. I don't have a boat now, but when I soon retire, I might get a boat. And if I do get a boat, I want to be able to park it down the harbor. Selfishly. So I leave that question to the commission. We will advocate, LCDC will advocate for this initiative. And certainly I think we would also provide you maybe a business plan and model down the road. Item 2, the status of Nexam. So Oma Homestead Alliance was outbid by a few points by Nexam to provide PV project in Kalawa. Nothing's going on. Now, I believe that project is almost like 3-4 years old. And we don't understand it. I was a member of the Oma Homestead Alliance group. We were a beneficiary-owned corporation to bring PV to this project and to beneficiaries. We lost the bid. But having said that, we had hoped that Nexamp would have fulfilled their promise to reduce our energy costs in Kona, because that's what they were going to do, including to provide our nonprofit groups funding that was part of their agreement, the community benefit package. Nothing has happened. So I'd like the department to make an inquiry as to the status of Nexamp. And certainly, I think LCDC would be entitled to at least get some kind of communication regarding that. I would appreciate that. Number 3, Laiapo Community Development, our preschool. Well, we were challenged by the change of the status of the Lieutenant Governor's office when they lost the $200 million to what now is called the State Facilities Administration. SFA. SFA is now managing those funds, to which now we have to go and secure these monies that was previously, I guess, I wouldn't call it a commitment, but was previously $8 million previously announced to us that she would support it. So right now, we got PUCA, 0 funding. And it doesn't mean that we can't build this, just means that we got to go find the money. So we'll do our due diligence to go find the preschool funding and make that happen. Lastly, the Holualoa North Kona Water Development. At the end of this month, this development, this contract, which has been over a year now, should close. And I'm hoping that the department and this commission would urge, I guess, the Attorney General, those that are working the planning division to ensure that they meet that deadline. They have $1 million deposit on this project that's already been paid to the owners. That was a earnest funds. Now, this water, without this water, can build houses in Kona. It's simple. One house, one water credit, 400 gallons per household per day. One household, one credit per household. You need that to build homes. Currently, my understanding is that the department has 0 credits. So they cannot build any more homes, except maybe on credit, assuming that we're gonna build this development. This development has to happen by the execution of this agreement. The execution of this agreement is now critical to the department's overall development plan, because out of this water source, we may get 800 credits, meaning we can build 800 homes in Kona. So it's central that this commission ensures that we meet this deadline this month. For whatever reasons that might be delaying it, I think we got to put the gas pedal to this one. We got to make sure that, okay, pull out all our stops, make sure this happens. Because my daughter is waiting for her house. My grandchildren might be waiting for their unit. So it's, so my daughter has a undivided interest award given to her almost maybe 12 years ago. I mean, that's not the type of legacy we want to continue over the years. And we constantly hear about, okay, well, we need more money, or we cannot do this, or we cannot do that. You can do something about this. We can get this water source. We know the water is there. We're right next door to the abandoned county water facility. So it's not what do you call rocket science. It's pretty simple to me. So with that said, I'll take any kind of questions. And by the way, thank you for taking our testimony sooner, as we are here in the presence of this commission. Thank you.
Okay, any question?
No, just a comment. Mr. Kohei, thank you for always coming with solutions. I know you have issues that you bring up to us, but you always bring a solution. You never dump something in the front of us and say, I have no idea, go fix it. So we appreciate it. We appreciate your work that we can see in the community. So thank you very much for your
Thank you,
effort.
Commissioner. Thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate that. Now that I'm done, my cohort, Diana Kama, will she be able to make her testimony at this time? Thank you.
Morning.
Good morning. I'm going to be reading my testimony to you today, this morning. Aloha, my name is Diana Lokelani Kama. I am here to testify the final wishes of my late husband, Rupert Noah Kama Jr. He's the owner of La'iopoa, Lot 47, located at 74-301 Nui Place, Kailua Kona, 96740, whom he named me as his primary successor. My late husband, Rupert Noah Kama, was awarded this house in October of 2020 after being waiting on the waiting list for 45 years. We both were very excited and overjoyed that he finally got awarded a home. God answered our prayers. We worked side by side to complete the necessary repairs on the home. And thank you. And we moved in on December 20th of 2020 to celebrate our first Christmas and New Year's there. So my husband and I, Rupert, we're together for 30 years. We were married for 25 years. So when my husband got awarded the home, he was in remission for stage 3 lung cancer. Oh, sorry. So at the time he was on disability retirement, and I was working full-time as with the State Department of Education with disabled children ages 3 to 5. and full-time. So our income together, we're doing really good. On February 1st, 2022, I became disabled. I sustained a spinal cord injury and no, I could no longer work. So due to the injury and unable to work, I applied for Medicaid. At the time, it was the COVID emergency and everybody qualified for medical. Yeah. In early 2023, we got written notice that the COVID emergency was gonna end and we would need to reapply to see if we qualified. We didn't qualify because my husband made above the the income limit. And I had a lot of doctor appointments and stuff to go to. And we had to decide what we're gonna do to continue my medical. So we tried applying for the Medicaid, but we didn't qualify because of his income was too much. So we both decided to file for a divorce. And that, once we filed for a divorce, we qualified. I qualified for the medical help that I needed to get. The only reason we did the divorce was because for my medical. We filed for divorce on September 18th, 2023, and the divorce was finalized in November 2023. On our divorce decree, it also states that my husband awarded me the house in case of his death. I did receive, and I did get approved for medical, financial, and food stamp that helped us through this difficult time. In March of 2024, my husband got diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. It came back very aggressive. He went to California in June 2024 to see if he could get some treatments there, better treatments out in California. He passed on August 4th, 2024. I'm here today pleading to you because my husband waited 45 years to get awarded this home. We worked together to repair our home and make it as what it is today. After 2 years, I became disabled. My husband named me primary successor on his lease, but James DuPont stated in the letter that I attached that I don't qualify for the successor because of the time of my husband's death. We were divorced. However, the divorce decree stipulates that the house is mine. Please, I'm here, asking. What is that? To see if I can get a contested hearing regarding this. Although my husband is not in our home anymore, I have stayed in the home and have been consistent with like financial responsibilities of our home to this day. My husband's wishes were for me to remain in the home. Please find it in your hearts to consider my plea. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
If I might, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, let me ask some questions.
Okay.
Are you qualified? Are you 25% Hawaiian at minimum?
I'm 50%.
50%, okay. And let's see, do you folks have any children?
Together, we do not have any children.
Uh, Do you have any, does your husband have, like, if you were to put it out for, notice that, hey, that, he, based on the legal, or I don't know about the legal interpretation, that, you're not to qualify because you guys got divorced.
Right.
Who would, among your ohana, would maybe step up and ask for the house?
One of his daughters would.
One of
Because
his daughters,
yes, the house did go up for when you publish it.
right?
It
It already
it
did that.
it went
It's
up
already
in
gone
this,
through the
yes,
process.
it went up in December.
I see, and she stepped up and submitted a
I
request
believe so.
to be named the heir.
Yes,
Do you get along with her?
no.
Oh, okay. I knew you were gonna say that. You got any questions?
Yeah, Chair, I think this is a classic contested case. We need to file for a contested case. And we need to get all the information to the commission, so the commission, well, for the hearing officer to hear and then bring it to commission for a decision. It's unfortunate that all of these steps you had to take to stay in your home, then you lose your spouse. Now we're gonna take you out of the home on basically a technicality. So I think it's a contested case at this point. And, we could advise you how to file for your contested case, and then from there, it'll go to a hearing officer and then come to commission for final approval or decision.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, may I?
Sure.
Diana Kama came to us. Wow. I've been to many contested case hearings.
Yeah.
And we recommended that she get a contested case hearing based on the facts.
Yeah.
The facts are clear. If she was still married, this house would be hers.
Yeah.
But given the circumstances surrounding both her injuries, her financial hardship, all those factors add up to what I believe is, evidence for her to stay in the home. We never wanted to. You know what's troubling? Before the Kamas were moving there, the house sat empty for 7 years. I know that because I helped put the boards up. I was a president of the association at that time. Then when we got the Kamas in there, we were elated. Now we're faced with another condition. My house at Haleolono on the corner, I can't remember his name, but that house been set now 5 years empty. Even though somebody came and renovated it, make it look nice, everything. It's a sad commentary that if we cannot resolve this particular issue on common sense, for me, it's just plain and simple. On a divorce decree, it says, give her the house. She's a successor on the successorship papers, give her the house. How is it now that you cannot give her the house? That's the question I face with this commission. Maybe the commission or the hearings officer in the contested case would finally, I think, adjudicate, I think, the proper outcome. But that's what we're looking at.
Yeah, so you're in the house right now, you're taking care of the house?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I've
And,
never left. Yeah, we were together all the way. We
Right,
never
sure.
separated.
Anybody else in the house to help you, or?
I'm sorry, what did
Who
you?
lives there?
My son. My son moved in with me and my granddaughter.
I see. And you guys are current on is there a mortgage on this property?
Yes,
And you're current on that?
correct.
Okay, well, I think what we can do is interpret your letter as a request for a contested case hearing. And I think Commissioner Nevis is right. That really is the way to resolve this. Have a hearings officer and then, hear both sides. You can present all this evidence, then we'll get a recommendation and the commission will take action. But as it is now, we are in a process that maybe we need to set aside and go through a contested case hearing to resolve the issue.
Okay.
So,
I think the department, if I may speak, yeah, Mr.
Mhm.
Chairman, we have the letter attached by James DuPont to Diana Kama. This kind of language, this kind of unilateral authority is wrong. He cannot on his own, without the Homestead Services Division making an opinion or at least having a contested case hearing on the matter. So that she would have due process. This is about due process. It's not about anything else. But when you get on a scathing letter like the one that was issued to her on September 15th, 2024, you begin to wonder who's in charge. Is it the commission? Or is it a West Hawaii representative? Now, James and I go back a long time. Sometimes I ask myself, oh man, wait a minute. And so we ask this commission that, that she be given due process, given a chance to
Sure.
get the contested case.
Yeah, he does say in this letter, I'm assuming he's the one that submitted, having you reside on the homestead is an option. So he's kind of not saying that you got to move out and all that. So I think the contested case hearing really is the way to go. So procedurally, let's assume that this is a letter for contested case hearing. What's the next step? Okay, so the commission got to approve the contested case hearing. Can we do it now, or it has to be on the agenda? We don't have a. Okay, so what we'll do is, the department administratively will make a recommendation and take it to the commission, next month to, approve a contested case hearing. Then we'll notify you but we'll take this letter as a request. And administratively, we'll present it to the commission for action to approve a contested case hearing, okay?
Okay, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And
Thank
sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
And one more thing, Mr. Neves, mahalo for your service.
Thank
I
you.
know that today is, I suppose, your last day.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure, but over the years, you've been passionate about beneficiaries and certainly, you know, you hold high standard for all the commissioners and myself included. So we appreciate your service. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bro. Appreciate it. Thank you, Ms. Kava.
And then, Juan, show this on the action item. Thank you. Okay, the next testifier on J2, Homelani Liddell, Malua High.
Good morning and aloha Chair and Commissioners. Mahalo for this opportunity to come before you. I'm Homelani Shadell with Aloha, or a beneficiary, and I live in Aloha. Yesterday I had actually signed up for C3, G1, H1, and E3, and I was only called on C3. But I did get a chance to talk to Gigi on G1. And I also addressed my concerns with Michelle and Kalani on E3. The one item that I didn't get a chance to address was on the budget item H1. And in particular, what I'm asking is, under the statewide projects, there's VOCA payment of $60,000. And I'm wondering, in the past, that amount used to be, I believe, either 32 or 38,000. And that amount was provided to VOCA because Maluahai didn't have the sufficient number of units. So I don't know if that's tied into the same thing. And I don't know who the new person is that took over Rodney's place, so I don't know who to ask that.
Probably Katie, yeah, Katie Lambert,
Katie?
yeah.
Because I just want to ensure that if this 60,000 includes, for some reason, any assessments for Kaupea, then I'd like for someone to look into it
Sure.
because when Kaupea became, was in development, I believe the then Chair Kane, Micah, had prepaid upfront the difference in the units. And so if any part of these funds is assisting that, then I would like for someone to look into it because that should not be paid to VOCA. As a matter of fact, I think that after these homes are built, whether they're 60 or 90 units, that VOCA should be refunding the department monies that was paid to them early on in the project. So I will reach out to, okay, please. I did have some other items, but unfortunately, I don't feel like I was prepared enough to present it to you. So I will do so next month.
Okay, sounds good.
Mahalo.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next, J4, Candace Ka'ava. Ka'u, right of entry. Robin. Okay, how about we go to J6, Robin Ili'i Noho Moku, various updates. J6.
Robin, you're on mute.
Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
Yes? Okay, aloha, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
My name is Robin Kiali'i Nohomoku of Kahului, Maui. And today I come before you as a niece, a lineal descendant of Thomas Kamuela Kiali'i Nohomoku, my dad's brother. I've advocated in the past regarding his waitlist spot for Waimanalo, and I have yet to hear back from the department. I've retained legal counsel for this particular case and still have not heard back from you, from anyone. There was a letter dated January 17th by you, Kali. It was sent to my legal counsel that someone would get back to him. And as of today, no one has notified him of an update on assigning a hearings officer or anything regarding the contested hearing. So if someone can help me to get that information and to move this forward, I would really appreciate it. And I also want to bring to note with regards to a public notice posted in November 2024 requesting for successors of past or deceased beneficiaries who passed away prior to November 1998. And there was a list, and one of them was a distant uncle who was on that list, passed away, and they were looking for a successor for his wait list or his applicant wait list spot. And I find it to be to conflict with what DHHL has been trying to apply to my situation. I feel that all Kanaka Maoli should be recognized no matter when they applied for their application. And in my case, my uncle applied in 1958 and he was never awarded. So if someone can follow up with my legal counsel and give us a contested hearing date or an officer, I don't know what the holdup is, but I would truly appreciate it. And I also want to, I'm going to be sharing the advocacy agenda for Auntie Kekoa Enomoto, who's in Florida. So if you don't mind, I'd like to also move forward with her letter that she wanted to share.
Okay, Juan, you wanna respond? I think you
Oh.
guys taking a look at it.
Thank you. Yes.
Recommendation.
Yeah, I'm aware that the request for
This is
content.
Juan Garcia with our
Yeah,
homestead.
aloha Juan.
Aloha, Robin. Robin's brother and I are classmates from high school.
Mhm.
Oh, you better respond quickly.
You better hurry up.
Yeah, so I'm aware that the request came in. It's my understanding that the memo with the department's recommendation with respect to the request is pending. I'm not sure if it's already gone to, it still may be in the draft before it gets to Deputy AG's, but I am following up with Jeremy. I'll follow up with him after today, and somebody will get back to Robin today or her counsel.
Can we anticipate getting a recommendation at our next commission meeting?
We can make that commitment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll take action on your request at the next commission meeting and see your request for a contested case hearing.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you,
Thank
Juan.
you. Thank you, Robin.
So I'd like to read Auntie. Is it okay if I continue on to? I think Auntie's the last one. Would she be the last
Sure.
one for today?
J5. Kekoa Inamoto. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Aloha mai kako and na Hawaiian Homes Commissioners, on behalf of the Maui Beneficiary Organization, Pa'upena Community Development Corporation, or CDC, I am board member Kekoa Enomoto, greeting you from Pompano Beach, Florida. I am on a 8-day swing through Florida while accompanying my daughter Lehua Enomoto, a Wisconsin collegiate women's volleyball coach, recruiting prospective players in Orlando. And we are visiting my 31-year-old nephew, Cody Kekoa, a U.S. Coast Guard rescue and instructional pilot at Fort Lauderdale. Today, I would like to advocate on 3 topics. 1, Paupena's right of entry pre-application to 646 Central Maui Homeland Acres. 2, DHHL's new agricultural program specialist. And 3, an invitation to July 17th, 2025, Maui Lanai Oahu Mokupuni Council meeting via Zoom. Today, I would like to advocate on 3 topics. Concerning Paupena's ROE pre-application to the 646 Pulehunui South Homeland Acres in Central Maui, the CDC submitted a non-homesteading land use pre-application on November 14th, 2024 to LMD. The division's 90-day response period without any questions or concerns passed on or about March 19th, 2025, 3 months ago. Pa'upena seeks the Hawaiian Homes Commission vote on its ROE pre-application at the Commission's October 20th, 2025 meeting on Maui. I feel this is a feasible expectation after an 11-month period. Nevertheless, I received a May 14th, 2025 email from LMD Maui Legal Land Agent Shelly Carrera indicating that DHHL has higher priority projects related to homestead development and homestead lease awards that take precedence. Quote, we appreciate Pa'upena's CDC and the Pulehunui Hawaiian Homestead Association's interest in the parcel. However, items and processes need to be completed, end quote, she says. 63,000 acres of Hawaiian homeland inventory being permitted to non-beneficiary entities, notwithstanding, I respectfully request that LMD elevate the priority assigned to my beneficiary organization's land use request. At the Shaw Meeting annual conference earlier this month, I had the pleasure of meeting new DHHL Ag Program Specialist Lehuanani Abrigo, a Kapolei lessee. I will invite her to be introduced at next month's Maui Lanai Oahu Mokupuni Council meeting. And in this context, I invite all of our Hawaiian Homes Commissioners, especially Maui Commissioner Archie Kalepa, to the July 17th Mokupuni session. The Zoom link is on our website at paupena.org. Happy 104th anniversary of the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act, Federal Trust that the United States Senate ratified and President Warren Harding signed into law July 9th, 1921. This ends her advocacy. And on a side note, I just wanted to thank Commissioner Nevis for his work, his mana'o, his intentional and active listening and amazing recommendations, and also helping Pulehunui Hawaiian Homestead Association to move forward on the work that we have ahead of us. Thank you so much, Commissioner Nevis. We appreciate all the work that you've done. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, J1, Henry Hook Jr. No, what about Ken? Or okay, Mr. Hook or Candice Kaava? Anybody on the internet waiting? If not, is that it? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, C5, enforcement updates, David. Always say that. Oh.
Morning, Chairman Watson and members of the commission. David Hoke, Administrator with Enforcement Unit. Just giving our monthly update. And again, this is for the period of May 12th through June 8th. Before we start though, quick update on staff. Kip Akana is retiring effective June 30th. He's currently on leave. Kip's been with the department for 20 years. He's also did almost a decade of work with Honolulu Police Department, so he's pretty much done 30 years of service to the community. So we definitely appreciate him. He's going to be missed. He's earned it. He has his years of service. He's going to be able to kind of enjoy more time with his grandkids and coaching. So it's bittersweet, but you know, we're happy for him, and so we just want to notify everybody about that. Over this period, we had 6 requests for investigations and have the breakdown as listed below, bringing the total for the calendar year to 76 requests. Since the last submittal, the unit has submitted 30 reports and a total of 121 reports for this calendar year. And so I know last month, Commissioner Kalepa asked to be a little bit more specific on where the complaints are coming from and the work we do. And I got some other feedback from other people, staff, to be a little bit more thorough and go into some more details about the cases that we do. So I kind of talked about a few cases over the last month that I want to talk about. I'm not going to go into a ton of details on all of them because some of them may end up in front of the commission in some capacity, but the main point that I'm trying to do is I definitely would like to highlight all the work that the unit has been doing and my staff. So if you can just bear with me for a little bit. On May 14th of this month, I definitely want to commend our legal assistant, Casey Corpuz, and homestead assistant, Chevelle Koanui, because they went above and beyond to make sure that we got a lease transferred. So it was a dynamic situation in which July of 2024, we were contacted and informed that there was a federal case in which fentanyl was being mailed to a resident, actually an ag parcel. The lessee, and once we began the investigation, we found out the lessee of record had been deceased for several years. However, the person who was the named successor was actually the individual who had ordered the package. So, you know, we were scrambling around to make sure that we were able to process everything, get everything done before this individual was sent to the mainland to serve his term of incarceration. So, again, I want to commend the 2 of them. I believe this case shows the fact that our federal counterpart in the Homeland Security investigation reached out to us, informed us of this, shows that, developing relationship with them. And I also believe that, this is one of those areas in which we really got to emphasize making sure that we have, we're processing these transfers as quickly as possible, because unfortunately it took a situation like this for us to even find out about it. I'm not exactly sure what the solution is, but we definitely want to kind of find something to kind of be more aggressive with those. Also on the 15th of May, we were able to go and secure a home that we've been working on since April of 2024. This home was, again, unique. The lessee had passed away, squatters, a lot of drug activity in and out of the home. One of the individuals that remained in the home was the named successor. So we couldn't just go in there and trespass everybody. We had to go try and get the writ. However, we do know that takes time, that takes effort. But while we're doing that, we continue to go to the property because we got complaints. We tried to, work with the individuals in there to get them out of the home. And actually in February of 2025, it escalated to the point where they executed a search warrant over there. And again, more fentanyl was recovered in the home. However, by May 2025, we were able to convince everybody to move out of the home, and then we got the home secured. Again, I just wanted to commend my staff for doing that. It was a total of 6 attempts of going to the house, talking to these individuals, really trying to, combination of motivate them to get out of the home, seeing if there's anything we can do to negotiate with them, and really try and secure the home as quickly as possible. We know the AGs are working as best they can to get the writs, but just like all of us, they're short-staffed. And so, again, I just want to commend my unit for really going and continuing to do that. May 22nd, the unit went up to Maui and we're able to get 2 homes back into inventory. These 2 situations, one of them, the lease was canceled in 2014. That case, there was an appeal, went through COVID, so there was a long gap. However, getting that back into inventory without having to go through the whole writ process, the eviction process, is another huge thing. And then also, the second property was canceled in August of 2022, in which the unit made 7 contacts at the property to, again, work with the family. It's a tough situation. We want to be as respectful and human as possible, but at the same time, the commission has made a decision and we have to do our job to try and work with the family to get them out and hopefully get the house back into inventory and re-awarded. May 28th, the enforcement unit went up to, again, Big Island to go address some complaints in which, excuse me. Okay, yeah, we were able to get a house back into inventory. This complaint came in May 2023 for non-occupancy. Made 8 attempts to go to the property, to contact the lessee, to try and work with them. However, when we were finally able to track them down, we were able to get them into the district office, transferring the lease within 24 hours. The reason I feel like this is important to highlight is several things. Number one, just the amount of time and effort that goes into it. This was on an outer island, so each trip we're flying a minimum of 2 guys up there. And then also kind of the silver lining between with all of this is also that in the end, the person that was transferred, the lease was transferred to, was on the wait list. So that is, even though it's 1, it's a reduction of the wait list. So a little small victory in that. And then May 29th, this was another case in which the department has been working on for a long time. This case originally came to us in May of 2023. This is a case in which our unit is taking the lead in a contested case hearing. And this was a settlement agreement in which we were able to get the beneficiary to agree to come to the island, which is they're supposed to remove the illegal occupants and knock down the structure, which was causing a ton of issues, safety issues, drug trafficking to the surrounding community. So with that case, again, the number of efforts that went into that whole case, 9 visits to the property since it came in, the money flying back and forth to the island each time. And then even in preparation of the contested case hearing, before we went to that settlement hearing, we had to go submit our entire evidence. And again, I have to go commend our legal assistant. The submittal and all the evidence was 158 pages. So she really was thorough. She really went through everything. I believe there's over 30 police reports she had to sift through and really come up together. So again, each case, even though it counts as maybe one on the stat sheet, it's very comprehensive. It does take time. And the last one was it was June 2nd to June 3rd. This was again another unique situation. This case initially came to us in March of 2024. It's an ag parcel that was in inventory. However, we got reports that somebody was squatting on the parcel. When we began the investigation, we found out that the person staying there was a possible federal informant. They asked us to stay away from the parcel. So that's one of those weird things in which, despite getting numerous complaints, we do our best to respect those ongoing investigations. So we stayed away from the property. On June 1st, at 5 p.m. in the evening, we got contacted by the police and let us know that they're executing a search warrant the following morning. So what we did is we flew up the next morning. After they executed the search warrant, we posted the required notices to be able to remove the property the following day after 24 hours had lapsed, knock down the structure, and again, hopefully mitigate the risk of not just him returning, but anybody else coming to the parcel so it can get back into inventory and re-awarded to our beneficiaries. And that case, because we were so concerned about somebody else coming, we literally stayed on site for 24 hours. So the four of us went up, we took shifts, stayed overnight during the prime hours. I think it was between 10 and 2, all four of us were there. But other than that, we're doing shifts of 2. And so, again, I want to commend my guys for doing that. That's, I let them know at, by the time I talked to them, it was 6 p.m. We're flying out 6 a.m. the next morning. And then, the guys didn't get much sleep that day or good sleep. So again, this is the dedication that I need to acknowledge my staff is doing. So I'm proud of the guys. I'm thankful for the guys and all their work. And, all these cases I kind of want to bring up lead me to something else. So, for us, we're taking on some of the contested case hearings moving forward. And those will be the cases that don't pertain to loan delinquencies or blood quantum issues, but it's going to be more of those technical violations. And so what I've seen, and this is not to say anything about previous leadership, is that the unit has been around for about 20 years, but we haven't really evolved. And so I believe that the contested case hearing process, we can be more effective in that sense. That I believe there's a belief that DHHL really won't do much. And so while we're trying to work with our beneficiaries on the top end, sending these notice of violations, trying to motivate them to work, it doesn't seem to have a very strong effect. However, once they get put in front of a hearings officer or the commission, it's, the reality sinks in. However, I'm trying to avoid the department having to prep 158 pages to put in front of, or to submit, but then also we're still going to afford the beneficiary the ability to remediate the issue. I believe that's the right thing to do. However, I think the process is a little backwards where we shouldn't have to submit all that evidence on the top end. So, maybe not next month or the following month. I would like to kind of present some ideas. I obviously have to run it past the AGs, but talking to the legal assistants, HSD, I believe we can come up with some other ways in which we can kind of escalate the situation, have a graduated sanctioning without a full-blown contested case hearing. I believe the goal will still be to let them get into compliance, preserve the lease with the family, and really try and make things more efficient. But from the standpoint of once something is identified, it shouldn't be taking years. It shouldn't cost the department this much money to really get them to take it serious. It should be a two-way street. And again, this is a small percentage. Most of our beneficiaries are doing exactly what they have to do, but I believe it's unfair to them that they have to follow the rules. They're doing what they're supposed to do. And the department is really shelling out this much money just to get somebody to do a basic thing like live in your home, live at your lease parcel that you agreed to do. So looking forward to that. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the submittal.
So it's interesting when they say, what are we doing? A lot.
Mhm.
And, with your small group, you guys do a lot. And I'm probably one of those guys that are calling you all the time. What are we doing here? What are you doing there? I had an opportunity to talk to Kaipo, and it looks like we're getting some resolution on the Kaiwi
Mhm,
thing.
mhm.
We've had squatters on this property for 15 years.
Mhm.
And it went, when Kaiwi, we call it the Kaiwi because Kaiwi's there most of the time. And when he passed away, now we have the other squatters. And we had to really go back and say, okay, who owns the property? Because it's on a borderline between us and the state. So we finally identified it's ours. Now we're gonna call all the groups together, take action, get these people out. What I told Kaipo, it has to be a close coordination with a ward at the same time. Because as soon as we pull them out, put up the fence, clip the fence, next guy comes in. So, Chair, that's got to be important on this specific property in Anahola. That has been an eyesore, and every time I go by there, somebody's yanking me saying, hey, we're gonna take care of this. So that's gonna be a close coordination. It's ours. Check the list. It's about an acre ag lot. Let's get somebody off the list. Let's get them guys out, fence it out and say, oh, it's yours. And when the guy comes to cut the fence, he probably get his head shot off. But we gotta cover it right away. So
Yeah.
I think that's really important. But you guys are out there. I know what you guys do. And yeah, it's expensive, 6, 9 trips, couple $1,000 to go tell somebody, hey, you gotta do it this way.
Yeah.
But I agree, you need to have some authority to try to fix the situation without doing this whole 158 page, because somebody's got to do the report.
Mhm.
So I agree. And that's probably something we need to look at for the group, but
Mhm.
appreciate everything you guys do.
And I appreciate it, all your support over the years and, no, we don't mind the calls because that's really, that's the only way we're gonna find out.
Yeah.
We don't have
No,
the bodies to go patrol, so usually once somebody, that's the first we're hearing about it. So the complaints are important and
So
so.
I'll keep you on speed
Yeah,
dial.
yeah, exactly. I know you're not gonna stop
Yeah,
anyway, so
yeah,
that's,
yeah.
yeah.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you.
David, you know that I'm a big fan of your unit out there and, hate to see Kip disappear over the side, but deservedly so, retirement. So, you've still got Nick and Chad and of course Casey's become a force multiplier for you folks. I appreciate that you reduce our liability because anytime we've got people doing illegal activities or just squatting on our property, we're legally vulnerable. And by making sure that you identify these, working with the homesteads, that's so critical. I know that you're trying to get the homesteads to be more self-governing so that you don't have to do every single piece of this, but to be more partners with them. So I appreciate that. You folks are more kinetic than, you mentioned in the past. And I know that that helps move us forward. We've got to return homesteads that are being abused and abandoned so that people who really need those homesteads can get on the property. So my hat's off to you. Great communications. Thanks so much. I've got a couple of questions for you. And that is, how do you move ahead and what can we do to help support you in the efforts that you've got ahead of you?
Well, I think, with the unit evolving a little bit to how we can best serve the department. I think the unit is only about 20 years old and they were put in place in the beginning, and I think it was very important. But now as we see where things bottleneck, the issues that come up, really where the risks are, I think we should really focus in on those issues and find out how we can streamline them or make them more effective. And obviously, I think, yeah, the policies, procedures are big. And then if we can kind of tweak up the contested case hearing to make it a little bit more effective or efficient. And I truly believe that if we do that in a little bit, for a little while, once that narrative of the department won't do anything, the notice of violations are going to be much more effective. And that's really all we want. It's like if we get called to a house, we see a violation is there, we're gonna just document it, let them know, hey, this is the reality, but this is what you have to do. Here's a deadline. Let's give it to them. Our hope is that they come into compliance because that's great. Everybody wins. We address the complaint. You preserve the lease, no more issues. And we're hoping we can get to that point. But in order for us to change that narrative, I think we're going to have to at least bring people in front of a hearings officer or the commission to let them know that, while this is silly, you don't want to clean up your house, but in the end, you might actually lose your lease. So, we do our best to try and communicate that to them, but sometimes it's like, you got to go see mom and dad. And if they got to come sit in front of you guys to feel that pressure, I think that's better because I would like them, we all want them to preserve the lease. And if they're not going to take it serious here, sitting in front of you guys and feeling that, hopefully that will be enough to shake them up. They go take care of it, and then we can all, everything's good after that. And so trying to be more effective in that sense. From a staffing standpoint, I've been looking at ways to try and be more effective, to have a further reach with the limited resources. We're a government agency in the end. We're always going to be short-staffed. We're always going to be given just so little bit. So how can we be more effective? And yeah, I think the creation of certain types of positions in which, it'll give us an ability to break up into teams at a smaller or a lower salary point. And so, I know you've come into the field with us and you see how quickly situations can escalate. And so, real quickly, like, we have our investigators now, and that's pretty much our position. And that's always going to be a need, but I think if we could come up with, another type of position in which our investigator is there to take the lead on the investigation, to really focus on that. But that second body is there for that guy's safety, for the overall situation. Their focus is on making sure that this guy can focus on what he needs to do. And because that's going to be their primary focus, they're not going to be doing the investigations. They're probably not going to be doing the report writing. The salary is probably going to be lower. However, if we got two of those positions, now we can break up into more teams at a lower salary point versus right now, the way we have to do it for safety reasons, it's two investigators going. Well, that's the ideal scenario because of safety.
Yes.
We're going at a higher price point, our salary point, because we got two investigators here. So I think there's ways that we can be creative. We got to create some positions, but I'm very hopeful, and that's the goal, because I think once we get some momentum, we can change the narrative. And a lot of, again, the problems, there's not a lot of problems, but the ones that are there are very glaring. So I think if we can get some momentum, things will kind of fall into a line for ourselves.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. You guys are tough people, man.
Chair, can I say just one more?
Sure.
In relation to what you're saying is very important. And part of that justification is getting a dollar amount.
Mm-hmm.
What did you save us?
Mm-hmm.
That's really important, because in your justification, say, look, my 3-man team has saved us $500,000 over the last year.
Mm-hmm.
That's justification for your proposal. So keep that in mind
Okay.
when you do put that proposal
I
together.
appreciate that feedback.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, and David, I also echo, I guess, the collective appreciation for what you guys do, as well as your team back there. And just looking at the items that you've done in May alone, I mean, I think, turned around the community in many ways. Not only getting rid of these druggies and squatters that plague a lot of our areas, our homesteads, but it's important that we don't allow these things to fester,
Mm-hmm.
because it really brings the community down. And what you guys are doing are not only getting rid of the problem, but more importantly, getting people off the wait list, which that combo is awesome as to what you guys are doing. Obviously, especially in the older communities, there's a lot of work to be done, and we've talked about it. And I agree that I'd rather have you guys focus on, rather than the collection and all of that, these homesteads that are in major disrepair. They got junks all over the place.
Mhm.
They got drug activities and all that. We got a lot of that going in there. Not a lot, but enough where it's a problem. So, you guys keep up the good work, and I think if we can kind of coordinate, especially with the reawards and how Commissioner Nevis is saying, you know, you gotta, as soon as we get these guys out, bang, we gotta get somebody in line. So a lot of coordination, so continue to do that. We're gonna give you more resources. You know, I did approve your request for an additional person. So we'll give you all the support, and it's important that the commissioners, we're not bleeding hearts. I mean, we also recognize the importance of our community as we want them to be safe. We want to uplift the Lahui. We want to make the program a program where people want to be a part of. You don't want to be, oh, this, I don't, you know, I don't want to live in Nanapuli. It's got all these dilapidated houses, drug houses, and shootings. No, it doesn't. So I think people need to recognize that. We need to work with the different associations and not only with internally, but the associations. They're key and very, very important because they're the ears and eyes of, you know, outreach into the community. So they need to be diligent, and we need to invite them into this effort. So again, keep up the good work. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What else, Scott? Okay, we're gonna have a recess for 15 minutes. We'll reconvene at 11 a.m. and then after the recess, what are we doing? Oh, HPD. Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay.
Yeah, I gotta. Oh shucks, I cannot until we hang up. So okay. Okay, bye. Love you. Okay, bye.
Hawaiian Homes and what the responsibility was. And I sort of felt, well, that's my Kuleana. I don't like titles. When I was the manager, everybody says, "Oh, you're the commissioner." I said, "Yeah, I don't get paid. It's volunteer." I keep hearing people say we get paid too much. I said, "It's just a meal and a room." All it means to me in this specific
situation is I make decisions that are going to affect beneficiaries, not just for today, but for perpetuity. And I think we need to take that more into consideration when we're making decisions. It's not just for today, it's forever. I still think that there's more to be done to get people to come to meetings, to understand what their rights are. I'm sort of a semi-activist as well for people's rights. And I think, you know, the trust is an obligation that the state and federal government has to Native Hawaiians. And the only way we're going to rehabilitate, as Prince Kuia said, is put our people back in the soil. Where we are, this is the farmer's plot they used years ago for selling all of their wares, and they had all kinds of different stuff here. The first couple of days, we got huli, which is the part that you plant, from one of the kaputas in Honolulu, and she gave us 396 hulis. So we planted those in about 2 days. And then after about 9 months later, we had our first crop. And we had what you call here the taro that were 5-6 feet high. And I mean, our biggest taro was 17 pounds. It could fit into a 5-gallon bucket, but nothing else. We never really created the farm to make money. We just want to provide something that is not being provided now. And it's funny that that's our satisfaction. That and anyone, kapunas that need it, we don't worry about the money. If you can't pay us, don't worry about it, just keep it. You know, I'm concerned about the next 100 years, the next 200 years. I'm concerned that the act is not set up in perpetuity. There's a limit. After your first, you know, renewal, it's 199 years, and that's it. What are the Hawaiians supposed to do after that? I think that's really important to make sure we nail that down over the next several years. It's something that we need to get straightened out, because, you know, Hawaiians are not going to go away, and we need to continue this for our great-grandchildren. I think more so it's just getting the young generation to come in and take over. All you beneficiaries, when you come to beneficiary consultation, you should bring your successor, because that's who this is for. We're almost done. We're doing this, we're kapunas trying to take care of our kids, and we have young adults that should be on the same table with us. So bringing more of our young Hawaiians out, because they eventually have to take these things over as we move forward. Well, I just hope that you know, our commission continues to do their job and provides for our beneficiaries, but there's still the matter of utilizing our land and putting people on our lands. And we have a lot of land here on Kauai, and I hope that we move towards getting people on the land.
Aloha Kauai Mano Kala Nipo Kia pai
Okay, we're back in session here. And David Hope.
Yeah, so yeah, we're going to introduce the State Department of Public Safety Director Mike Lambert. He's going to come give a little presentation real quick. He might be familiar to some of you guys. He was here in front of us in February of 2024 when he was with HPD and Narco Vice when they did the presentation. Again, he was pivotal to us really kind of trying to put that focus on organized criminal activity for Hawaiian homelands, especially out on this side. That process, that relationship was built so strong that even though he's with the state now, we still have that relationship with Narco Vice. So whenever we have issues, you know, we reach out to them, and those guys are reaching out to us. So again, he's always been awesome and pivotal. And then one more thing, if you know, at the Shaw, I'm sorry if you heard this story again, but when he first moved over to the state, I called him up and then, you know, just congratulated him. One of the first things he asked me about was in the Department of Law Enforcement, in that bill for it to become a department, there's a little blurb that talks about how the state Department of Law Enforcement has an obligation to go protect the health and safety of homestead communities on Hawaiian homelands. And that was one of the first things he asked me about. He said, "Hey, has anybody ever done anything like that?" And the reality is, no, nobody's ever reached out to us about that. Nobody's had a real conversation. And this is the first conversation in that new position, he's asking me about it again. So again, he's an innovative thinker. He's here to help. And so, yeah, I'll pass it to, Mike Lambert.
Welcome, Major Michael Lambert.
I don't get all kind of titles. so
Director Lambert.
Mike is always just easy, right? So I just want to say thank you, chair members. So I'm just gonna stand up and give the presentation. Do you have a clicker? You do not. Okay, I'll get my to the people online. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that or this.
Understood. Is that okay? Yeah, it's just hard to convert in thought. Good, hello. Test, test, good. Hello, test. Okay, so sorry, I didn't realize there are people online. Next slide, please. So what we're presenting to you guys is a safety via technology, right? The reality is that law enforcement community all across the nation in the state of Hawaii, we're short. The average is about 20% short staffing. Doesn't matter, Honolulu County, Big Island, state, we're all about there. So the reality is of having a real person in your community patrolling actively is very unlikely, and that's just being honest. But what do we have at our disposal? We have technology, right, to help fill the gaps where it would be nice to have a human being, but in lieu of that, we can offer something safe. So we have the Safety Via Technology SVT program. Some of you may have seen the me trying to roll it out in Waikiki, right? And the reason why I'm doing that is because just like anybody else, and Director Watson will tell you, is that as we seek funding, we have to show value. So I'm using Waikiki as a showpiece, but actually Hawaiian Homelands is going to get the same type of love and support. And then later on, we'll go ahead and bring this up as a win if you guys are interested in it. Waikiki wants it; they're begging for it. I'm very hopeful that it'll be seen in DHHL land. So what is the program mission, right? To increase the actual and perceived safety of our homestead communities by incorporating technologies that improve the ability to identify community threats. So what does that mean, guys, right? We want to put up license plate readers in your community, right? What we would do is we would ask the community members to go ahead and register your plate so we know who's supposed to be back there. What does that look like from a law enforcement standpoint? Why is that important? Is that if we know that your house got ripped off at 2 a.m. because of your personal alarm or whatever, and now we're able to go back into our camera system and see what cars came out near or that time, right? Now we have a suspect. Right now you guys get ripped off, and if nobody saw nothing, guess what? Nothing would happen, right? So what we want to do is utilize these technologies to catch criminals, right? And once people realize that if you do it in the homesteads, you're going to get busted because they get all this stuff up, right? So that's the kind of air that we want to create. We want to create safer communities. This is not about watching people do weird stuff like walk their dog, clean up the poop, right? It's not silly stuff. Like, we're looking for like real stuff, guys. Another thing that this technology can help us do is, unfortunately, we do have domestic violence issues in the homestead. So when we have restraining orders out, you guys can go ahead and give us the plates of the individuals that aren't supposed to be back there. And it's possible, if you guys engage in the software apps, which we're going to talk about, that you could be provided an alert that vehicle has entered into the region, right? And you could go ahead and make safety decisions from that point on. What we have up here, oh, sorry, no, you're good. What we have up here this is a Fort Myers Police Department. This is what's called a real-time operations center, a real-time crime center. DHHL, when ours is up in July, it's literally going up as we speak. We would be able to actively monitor things that are going on for the homesteads that are interested in the technology. It doesn't mean that you would have your camera up all the time, right? But what we would have is advanced analytics and AI, so that if somebody was to push the button, then what it would do, or alert us to something going on in your homestead, then it would come up on our screen as somebody activating the alert, and it would automate whatever technology is in that area. Next slide. Okay, so this is what's in it, right? Surveillance cameras. Again, we don't want to go too big into the actual homes area because we don't want people to feel like we're really in their business. It's really at access points in and out of the homesteads of people that are coming and going. So I'll give you guys a diagram after that, what that looks like. License plate readers is going to be the biggest thing that we want to put out into the homestead communities, because they're such a great tool for knowing who is moving around, what are the active times in the community, all of those things, right? Where we can go back and potentially identify somebody who's doing, ripping people off or doing bad things in in the community. Another thing we hear a lot is like, oh, you get all these drug dealers coming in and out, right? They come in at all hours of the day. We could actually substantiate that, right? Is that true? Do you guys have a lot of cars coming in? And what that does for law enforcement, guess what? That's when we're gonna put the undercovers in your neighborhood. We're gonna be tracking trends, right? And then we can be a little bit more efficient. Because if not, the old school way is like you sit in a car for 24 hours and you're just like losing your mind, right? And it's really not efficient. But with this type of technology, we would know, the engagement times. We would be able to validate that there is a pattern of vehicles that are not registered to the homestead coming out. You don't have to register, but it really helps us to kind of narrow down that haystack, right? Now, unfortunately, sometimes people in the homesteads not being good neighbors, maybe ripping you off. That we can't control, but they wouldn't come past the front gate anyway, right? But what we can really do is the 80 or 90% of offenders that are coming from outside the homestead in, we would be able to identify those vehicles. Crime databases is tapped in from the state level. And then the biggest thing is that for certain communities, especially the very rural ones, we want to be able to have drone as a first responder. So we'll be meeting out with the Waianae ag community. There is some homestead stuff. But for the ones where it would take 40 to 50 minutes for a police officer to arrive, drone as a first responder is a gap filler for that. Meaning that whatever, we have a crime, the drone will come, it'll start to video the event, right? Because let's be real, they're gonna be gone by the time the police gets there. But as long as we can actively record via our drone systems, again, maybe we can't prevent all crime, but we can at least try to provide justice to someone who is a victim of crime through the collection of these technologies. Next slide. So this is one of the big things that is going to actually be unique to DHHL, but not necessarily to Waikiki, is that we actually already have a contract with the Safer Watch program. And really what we want to do is if the communities would engage, is that the neighborhood security watches, if you guys have those type of organized groups, could go ahead and download this app. They can take photos of suspicious vehicles or do whatever, non-confrontational. And what it would do is it would come into our system, and we could even section it out by neighborhood security watch. So it'd almost be like you guys could look at it later on, right? So it's one of those things where I can see it, they can see it. So what does that look like over time, right? Now, say, for example, neighborhood security watch wants to present something to DHHL, or some of the great work that David is doing in regards to properties or leases that are not being good neighbors. They would have all of this evidence to present you folks, right? These are members of the community that could say, look at this, all this PLAW action, right? Take a video, it would upload into the system, and it would be available for people that need to see it. So again, I'll just read it off here, right? Neighborhood and communities alert security officers and law enforcement of incidents occurring in your community. So for example, we know that fire has been a real big threat. So if you guys are engaged in the app, and let's just say that area back here, right out here, right, gets very dry, smoke comes up, right? Of course, people are going to be trying to call, but sometimes you're not sure if anybody did. You just hit the button, fire, right? Take a photo. And what that does is that responding units or responding fire and police, if you guys have this system, we would be able to push them information, right? Not that big a deal in the more populated areas, but when you guys really go to your rural homesteads, this stuff is huge. It's really, really important. So we want to empower the neighborhoods and communities to safety report and receive critical information. In other words, if there is a threat to your community and you're on this app, we could go ahead and push that out. In other words, there's a fire happening in the back, if in case you didn't hear the sirens, right? That's what's going on, right? Enhance the security and awareness of neighborhood by enabling them with a tool to report, kind of what I've already shared, and then provide check-in features for family and friends. So, for example, for some of your neighborhood security watches who only get 1 or 2, what they could do is they could turn their app on, right? And as they're doing their checks, they could say that we anticipate an hour, right? Our route will take about an hour. If after an hour they receive an alert, is everything okay, right? And if they don't respond to it, then we would have police come check on them, right? So for example, they went to a house, something bad happened, whatever, we would be able to have that monitoring. A feature that I asked the vendor to do is that would we be able to track their routes so that they can, as a neighborhood security watch, kind of make it like a fun competition to say that our neighborhood security watch did X amount of miles last year in community patrols, or just kind of have some fun data analytics integrated in. He said, yeah, whatever features that is important, they can totally integrate in. Next slide. So these are the partnership requests for DHHL is authorize the mounting of our license plate readers at access points, because a lot of times that would be DHHL property where we want them mounted on your guys' light poles, or like even for this building here, right? You could actually have a very good vantage point of people coming in. Discuss the utilization of rooftop areas for drone launch points, and that's more for the rural areas where police response is just delayed. And it's not because they don't care, it's just geographically hard to get out there. And the way that the drones are gonna be for this first responder program is that, for example, let's say something's happening, there would be a loud speaker that comes on and say that we are actively videoing, police are en route. So I can tell you guys right now, from being in law enforcement for 20 years, the criminal is gonna be like, oh, I'm being recorded, and they're gonna dig out, right? So that's really that type of ability to kind of deter and disrupt, because if you're being assaulted, even here in a densely populated area, it's 4 to 5 minutes, and that's a lifetime if you're being robbed, assaulted, or something worse. But the drone, it travels 45 miles an hour, and it's airspeed. So it can probably be from here to the water park in like a minute, right? It'll be from here to the water park in a car, even if they're blue lights and sirens, 3 minutes, right? So it's that kind of ability that the drones would have to quickly get to where they need to go. And again, we would like to ask the neighborhood security watches to at least try the Safer Watch app to see if it provides better connectivity. And again, Brandon is going to meet with some of the neighborhood security watches here to see what additional features that they would like the app to have. There's no cost, right? We're catching the bill for now as the pilot, and then later on, what we do is, director, maybe later on we would ask for Department of Hawaiian Homelands to support either some type of youth-funded project or just supporting us having direct line item funding to perpetuate this program throughout the state. Next slide. Okay, so this is just a mock-up. Should look very familiar. If you look good, I'm standing right there. No, I'm just kidding. So, right, so this is Karieli. So really what it is again, we're not really trying to get into everybody's business, but really what we want to do is just put this in the access points, right? Put this technology in the access points so we can see people coming in and out and then look for patterns. The drone dock, for example, because it needs power and internet, right? Let's just say if they wanted the drone capability for this region, if it really needed it, we would be asking for access probably on the main building, basically allow us to plug in. And we could launch that, down to Calpea, any homestead within a 2-mile range, we could technically launch in theory. The UHF is a feature which would be optional. So what that is it's basically a band for what is it called? Shortwave frequency band. So if you have like a loved one that is has autism, or a loved one that has dementia, and as long as you can at some point get them to wear the band, if they were to wander out, because most times they're going to wander out by foot, if they wander out the access point, the primary access points, then you would be alerted that they're at that entry point, or they've activated that. So again, we just want to add additional safety features to really create safety for the homesteads. Next slide. No, you're good. So this is drone as a first responder program. Give me 1 second. I didn't queue up the YouTube. I was too busy talking story. Normally I have it. So this is he's gonna play up the video. That's for X10. Oh yeah. Station X. So just to show you guys the capability of what the drone as a first responder program is. And again, Waikiki like they're ecstatic that we're even willing to try to make that investment, and it's an offer that I'd like to make for the rural communities here.
Skydio dock for X10. Station docked X10s where critical work happens. Get airborne in 20 seconds. Operate.
My bad, my fault, I set him up. There we go.
Skydio dock for X10. Station docked X10s where critical work happens. Get airborne in 20 seconds. Operate remotely from anywhere in the world and get the data you need to act. For public safety agencies, Skydio DFR Command is the ultimate software suite for drone operations. Respond to incidents with a single click, share live video with ReadyLink, and use augmented reality overlays for precise visual orientation. Manage your fleet, upload evidence, and build community trust. It's all at your command.
To be able to pre-position drones on top of, let's say, police stations, and those drones being able to remotely deploy and operate beyond visual line of sight for drone operations is the game changer.
We want drones and docks all over the city of Oklahoma that can respond to a call, can respond to an officer, and give them eyes in the sky before they even arrive on scene. Seeing what the dock for X10 can do up here, I think we're one step closer to making that a reality.
You can say, hey, I'm done. You can hit return home with a little icon there. That's awesome.
With Skydio, we've had an incredible opportunity for us to see the new docks in action and be able to work hand in hand with the engineers to understand why we do things certain ways so they can better understand our problems and how to solve them.
The Skydio X10 dock is definitely the future for drones from our perspective. Skydio was able to deliver on that technology.
We have 2 of them up here being launched remotely, and it's working. You know, there's over 40-mile-per-hour winds, it's over 100 degrees, and it's been able to work in situations where we never dreamed we'd be able to use a drone.
Right, so like I said, we already have 10 of those. So this is not like a future thing where I'm trying to sell something that I don't have. It's just a matter of who wants it, right? And as you guys can see, you know, my house is being burglarized, whatever the scenario is, right? At the very least, we could have the drone up beginning to record that. And again, we can't prevent all crime, but I think what makes people feel better is that there's an opportunity for justice when it does happen, right? In other words, you know, it happened to me, but nonetheless, I can get my day in court, I can press charges. And again, what we're creating here, guys, is that if you come into the homesteads, the likelihood of getting busted is high, right? So that's the type of, you know, force field or bubble that I want to try to get out to the homesteads is like, you can rip stuff off, don't do it in there, right? And that's the same thing I'm telling Waikiki with that technology. So again, it's something that all we would need is some agreements. We would just need to engage if you guys are interested in some MOUs. And then again, like, there's gonna be a lot of community building and trust in regards to how we would utilize this. And I'm telling you guys right now, you know, because I'm working, you know, it came from another meeting. And then, you know, people are saying, oh, but what if you're watching me? And it's kind of like, why are you that important? You know, like, I'm gonna sit in my office and track you all day long, right? You know, there's a million people on this island. I'm only tracking criminals or people that are breaking the law. And like I tell everybody this, if you're not doing nothing wrong, you're not gonna care, right? Like this is being videoed. I don't care, right? Have fun, right? You know what I mean? Because I'm glad that if anything was to happen to me, well, you guys saw the video, I was a victim, right? So really, technology is our friend. It's not our enemy. And again, we just have to take what we can to make our community safe. And I think that's all I have. That's the last slide. Yeah, okay, so sorry, I get ahead of myself, I get too excited. But, you know, again, increased security presence, data sharing with the communities via neighborhood security watches, real-time intelligence for law enforcement. And the biggest thing is you guys have some type of response, right? Although it's a drone, It's better than not having anybody at all. And then any questions? Oh, he's waiting, huh?
So how is that going to work? On the microphone. Okay, Michael, I heard you the first. How is,
It's on.
Yeah.
okay, so how is that going to work during fireworks?
Right, so actually, it looks like Gov is gonna sign SB 550. So we're gonna be utilizing the drones for enforcement for fireworks. So those ones will be launched by enforcement officers in the region. So this one, for example, right, the drone dock could be here, but actually the operator would be in town. But for fireworks, it's actually gonna be a more traditional where it's actually gonna have like the drone pilot flying and then somebody's gonna give them a ticket. But that's the same drones we're gonna use for fireworks.
So there's got to be an individual in the area that's going to put up that drone.
Either way, so if we have the dock, right? So for example, it's here, the drone operator could actually be anywhere in the world. Yeah, but for the fireworks specific, that one, the officers will have to be nearby because we got to give the ticket.
Okay, so let's just say, for instance, the department does enter into an MOU and one of those dock stations were situated here on these lands.
Mhm.
Could that be sent out, or will it be able to go through the 4 homesteads in
It just
Kapolei?
depends. They have about actually they can fly as far as the battery will take them. So they can go however far they can go within 40 minutes. So that's why you would have to have multiple dock stations around the state. So right now we have 10. We're looking at drones, and we're looking at ordering another 20. And then depending on what locations would be remote, we would have to get docks for them. But other than that, a lot of them are going to be like in the sheriff's vehicles with them on patrol.
Yeah, because that is a huge issue for our homesteads here in Kapolei. I can't speak for any of the other homesteads, but mine and Kaupea, Kanihili, and Ka'ulokahai, fireworks is just really bad.
Right. No, and I get you because I live Ho'opili and I'm not gonna get any of this. So no, just kidding. No, but you know, definitely I know that the problems are in the area. So yeah, the drone would have that capability, but throughout the year it's more for like burglaries, you know, we've been having shootings, but periodically, yes, you would have drone operators trying to enforce on the fireworks. Yeah. Any other questions? Anybody online questions?
Oh, yeah, there is somebody online.
Oh.
Does that recognize?
She took herself off. You had a question, Mrs. Perry.
Her mic shows on, but for some reason
Yeah.
it's not coming through.
Hi, I didn't hear. Am I allowed to speak? This is Johnny May.
That question, go ahead.
Okay. I think this would be very helpful in the ag lots because as you know, a lot of the farmers are facing crime. So that would be a good area. So it's no charge for 1 year to the department?
No, so I think we got covered for actually several years because we have long-term contracts. It's not the drones we would cover because that would be specific to the drones, but the license plate readers or the Safer Watch app down the road, it's just making sure that we have enough funding because what happened is that when the Department of Law Enforcement was created, we had a lot of startup money. So we just want to make sure that that funding continues and having support of DHHO, I believe can make that happen as long as you guys are, I guess, interested in the technology. But we got you guys covered for at least 3 years.
I live in Waianae, so one of the issues is illegal dumping. Recently the Waianae homestead just did a cleanup about illegal dumping. Of course, that's remote area as well. And of course, a shortage of HPD. But I think the farmers needs help if DHHL have any leases on ag land. Thank you for the
You're welcome.
opportunity to speak.
No, you're welcome. So actually, I'm June 21st, this Saturday, I'm gonna actually be out at Our Lady of KL. And then again, we're already in discussions with them to have a drone launched out there to deal with the ag issues. So if DHHL is out there too, then they would also benefit from that ag program as well. Questions, anything else?
I had a question. So is this primarily for Wahoo?
No, I want to actually get so the drones will be kind of scattered, but the license plate readers, I want 3 pilot locations on Oahu and at least 1, if not 2, on each outer island. So in fact, I'm meeting, hopefully you guys I get ahead of myself sometimes, but I'm trying to meet up with the homestead in Maui because they heard me speak at the Shaw. So I'm going to be doing a similar presentation for them and showing, I'd have to look at the area to see where we would mount things, but I believe that community has a very similar setup where the choke points coming in are kind of easy to control. So I'm trying to look for those. Obviously, if it's something a little more intricate, we'll still want to participate, but really we want to take advantage in the short term to, have at least a dozen homestead communities across the state, at least piloting the tech to see if it does create better outcomes for those communities.
Yeah, I can see where it would be a big advantage on the island of Kauai because we have sort of separate communities, east side, west side, but we have a lot of people that are squatters that are taking over and dumping issues like that. There is some crime, but most of it is, generated from that type of activity. So I would support something like that if the department's looking at doing that.
I appreciate that. Yeah. And, of course, we got a great relationship with Dave, and I appreciate everything he does for us. So even like that, right? You guys gave your guys' concerns to them. If it's something that the drone can support, like, hey, can you guys go take photos for us or do whatever? It's those type of cooperation things that we would do. The fire marshal is now not under me, is an attached agency to the DLE. So if the community said, hey, can you guys go run the drone around our property, around the homestead, and can we have photos to talk about where we need to put fire breaks? Those are the type of cooperative things that are, more community-based things that we would use the drone for. Of course, obviously 90% of the time we like to use them for deterring crime or identifying crime, but we want to be able to have this technology available to the homestead. So either the drone could fly or people could just go out there with their Safer Watch app and just make a recording and upload it to us. The biggest thing that we need for us to protect the community is that back and forth information, right? In other words, sometimes for me, like when someone explains to me an issue, I can't picture the problem in my head. And then they send me a photo. I'm like, whoa, okay, right? So we want to make that very easy process. So like, oh, look at all this illegal dumping, right? Upload. Ooh, okay. So now I'm trying to get Director Stiffen on the phone, talking to DOT or whoever the appropriate person is to go ahead and tackle that issue. Versus, we get illegal dumping, and then I can't quite understand the scale in my head. So I don't know how to prioritize it. But really, if you guys are connected with this, as they say, right, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So that type of connectivity is helpful for me when I prioritize.
Thanks.
So thank you.
Thank you for providing us the opportunity to give feedback. I think that's a wonderful way to leverage a lot of the issues we're having. We have squatting issues around our area here on Hawaii Island. My one concern would be, and I would encourage the commission to consider the privacy rights that are in our state with respect to, personal space and aerial trespass type issues. And if we don't have that because we are Hawaiian homes, if there could be something put in place around that so that when we do deploy these kinds of tools that are supposed to be helpful to us, that we're not creating a situation of people feeling like they are being violated. Because I can see how in certain areas this would be awesome. We have people that trespass to commit crimes, steal our four-wheeler, our tools, and things that we've worked really hard for, cut our fence line and things like that. So it would be awesome for that. But I feel like in certain areas here on Hawaii Island that people, their home space is a no-fly zone. So it'd be important to work internally to come up with some guidelines, I feel like, before that's implemented. Mahalo.
Mahalo. No, and that's a great point. So the way that it works now is we have to fly it over public property. And really, it's nothing, we wouldn't gain any other vantage point if we had flown a helicopter. So that's the way it works. So we can't record in people's backyards. That's a no-no. There's already some state laws around that. But anything on public roadways and whatnot is fair game, right? That's just the rules of it. But very good points. So I appreciate that. Anything else?
So Mike, when can we get this started? You know, like you had a couple for the, I guess, the parkway as well as our building and, you know, so.
So once we get
Sooner the better.
once we get a MOU, so the drones is probably a little further out because we have to go and get our FAA clearances and whatnot. But the license plate readers and the app can actually be, if you guys want it, we could give it to you right now. The license plate readers in 4 to 6 weeks, we could have it installed. So just depending on, you know, once you guys say, yeah, you guys can use our pole. A lot of it has to do with just the maintenance of it, is that we can access it at any time and, you know, all those little things. But we do have some draft stuff. So if you guys want to take a look at it.
Sure.
But from the second you guys are okay with it, the app is instant, and then the license plate reader is within a month.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, thank you guys. Anything else?
Okay. Okay, and Mike, thank you so much for you and Brandon coming down, sharing with us all this high technology. Yeah, it is the wave of the future, and we're kind of in the same boat with the Salesforce. We're trying to upgrade our digital technology and all that, and it's just amazing how much value there is in that. So, any other questions? If not, we really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you. Mahalo.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Okay, we have come to the end of this month's agenda. Mahalo again, Commissioner Dennis Nevis, and his wife,
Thank you.
Kawi, and his Ohana for his service to the beneficiaries of the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act. Best wishes for a peaceful and fruitful retirement. Next month's regular meeting is scheduled for July 21st and 22nd here at Haloponui. And mahalo for attending. We are adjourned.